It is one of the most famous dirt tracks in all of dirt racing. We are here live tonight for round number 8 of the DOB 410 Sprint Series, and it is going to be, after I reload the overlay because I knew that was going to happen, we are here for round 8 at Eldora Speedway here for the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese, not known for dirt racing, but my partner tonight certainly is known with dirt racing, and he's known here with this series, Ben Bruno. Ben, thank you for joining me here tonight to try to help me through this through tonight's races.
Absolutely, Frank. You know, it's my first time back with the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series since I believe it was round number 6 at Weedsport, and I have been missing it terribly. I'm extremely excited to be here with you. Gonna see some really good racing action, like you said, from the Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio. Not too far away from where I'm from in Pennsylvania. Always a good show when you got a set of 410 sprint cars here, no matter what series it is.
We certainly got more than a set of 410 sprint cars here. We've got a good bunch. 23 drivers are vying to try to win tonight's feature race. Probably, I think it's, if I go back, I believe it is the biggest field that we have had all season here in this series. It is the biggest, or pardon me, that's for the Big Block Series. This would be the second biggest field we've seen all season. USA International, round number 2 of the season, was the biggest that we've seen at 26. This is a not all that complicated a racetrack for such a quick car. It's going to be fun, especially to see all of these guys on the track at once.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Big field here tonight. A lot of talent out there. Our points leader, Rusty Kruger, I believe he's sitting at a 26-point lead in the points at the moment. You know, you got Cameron Merriman having won 3 races this season, Rusty Kruger winning 3 races this season, and Jake Greenwood last week gonna steal the Cameron Merriman show in the latter half of the 410 season as we just get past the halfway point. And what you're going to be looking at here tonight is, you know, Eldora is really a big momentum track. So the track's going to start to take a lot of rubber, get really slick, going to have to really manage the throttle to not blow the tires off and make the best of it. And when that happens, you're going to see a lot of momentum come into the cushion on the top side of the track. So don't be surprised if you see from the very get-go these guys making their way around the track, around the wall here, Frank.
You know, we've seen pretty much everybody out on track thus far as we just run through the remainder of the point standings as it sits right now. We've only got about 13 seconds left in this practice session before we go into the qualifying session. Darren Detweiler in the number 3, the only driver thus far that has not put in a time, and he will not set a time as the practice session comes to a close. Rusty Kruger, again, who had won the first 3 races of the season, is the man to beat so far, up at the top, hitting a 12.94 here during the hot lap session.
Yeah, and it was really, you know, through practice there, really only Rusty and one other guy, Brad Lamberson, able to apex the 13-second mark here. So going into qualifying, it's going to be tight. A lot of 13.0s on the board. Jonathan Lowe in practice with a 13.0 flat.
Yep, so we got a bunch of guys out on track here for qualifying. There is the 110 of Kevin Hanley on your screen right now, the first driver to get out there to try to set a time, and Hanley's first time will put him P3 as Mike Keegan in the the X is going to be the first driver, well, was sitting on the pole. Kruger has now surpassed him, and Kruger is actually going to take that pole award right now. The top 2 drivers both hitting a 13.2 on their first laps. Well, on their laps, pardon me.
By 1,000th of a second, Frank. Rusty grabs it over Kevin Hanley as Craig Dunn now going to set a new fast time with a 13:177. The track is a carryover state from practice. So, those 12.9s and those 13.0s have certainly been used up to this point.
It certainly appears to be that way, as Curtis Merriman in the 71 can only go fifth quickest. Kyle Moonen in the number 24 on track right now, looking to complete his second time. Moonen's first lap put him in the 14th position. Second lap is good enough for 12th, as right now it appears, with only 8 seconds left, everyone who is going to set a time has 26 drivers to take to the grid here tonight.
And this is kind of what we're going to be looking at here. Possibly 4 or 5 heat races with as big as a field. I would expect all 5. 8 laps, 4 to the feature. We're going to see 4 heats, they now tell me from race control here, Frank. So 8 laps, 4 heats, 4 to the feature, and then we'll see a consolation race to see who can make their way in.
So we're going to, our first 8-lap heat, the starting lineup is going to look like this. Craig Dunn and Michael Sheridan will share the first row. Tyson Landis and Peyton Grice, I believe. Grice, yes?
Yeah, Grice. Grice.
We'll go with Grice.
Grice.
We'll sit in the second row. Chris Roberts and Randy Shivers. I do apologize. Sitting in the third row, and Cameron Merriman, who we had talked about Kruger winning the first 3 races of the season. Merriman won the next 3. So he is going to be starting from the back. And for these guys being in the first heat, there is an advantage here with being in this first heat. You get the track in its best condition. However, it is the longest wait before you either go into the consolation race or if you go into the main.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I said earlier, the track's just going to continue to take more and more rubber. I wouldn't expect it to change a ton over the course of 8 laps, even through all 4 of the features. But once we get down to race time, it's going to get pretty slick out there.
Yeah, absolutely expecting to be. Now 7 drivers taking part in this first heat. 8-lap heat, top 4 advance into the feature race. Craig Dunn and Michael Sheridan sharing the front row. Green flag is in the air, and the first 8-lap heat is underway, and already Dunn getting out to a huge lead as Landis and Sheridan battle. And look at that 92. That's Peyton Grice up there on the outside line.
And they're really shuffling it up back here through the rest of the field right now, Frank. We're seeing Cameron Merriman starting to make his run on the top side as he's trying to overcome the 4th position, as he's got a great run on the outside. Like I said, got to watch for that momentum as he's getting into the wall.
Yep, that's Peyton Grice in the wall and flipping on his side, so that will put him in the consolation race at least. Boy, these guys got really close at the back end. Chris Roberts, Randy Shreves, I believe, if my dyslexia hasn't beaten me there.
You got it.
But right now it's going to be Craig Dunn, Michael Sheridan, Cameron Merriman, and Tyson Landis are the guys that are going to be advancing if it were to end right now, as we take a look on board of Cameron Merriman. And boy, there's really not too much you could see on board of Cameron Merriman right now. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a better look here. There's your gyro. There we go. That's about as good as we're going to get, I think, off the side of the 21.
And really smooth sailing right now for Craig Dunn. A half a second advantage for him. We'll see if Michael Sheridan can cut into it, as Cameron Merriman taking a look to the inside. Back to the outside for 1 and 2. He's going to have a big run of momentum down the backstretch.
Yep, he will have a run of momentum, but it will be Craig Dunn who takes heat number 1 and will advance on to the feature. as Heat 2 getting set to go. And this one is going to be quite the run, as we'll take a look at the results from Heat number 1. It will be Craig Dunn, Michael Sheridan, Cameron Merriman, and Randy Shreves that will be going into the main straightaway. Chris Roberts, Tyson Landis, and Peyton Grice all out, and Grice not finishing in that one. And I believe, Ben, you have the starting lineup for Heat number 2.
Our points leader, Rusty Kruger, going to start it on the point for us here, followed up by the number 71 of Curtis Merriman. In the second row on the inside, the 91 of Ernie Williams Jr. On the outside of him, the number 30 of Stephen Goldner. Row number 3 is going to be comprised of the 90 car of Jeff Fitzpatrick and Jonathan Lowe. And starting off in the 7th spot is going to be last week's winner, Jake Greenwood.
Jake Greenwood had one heck of a run last week at Knoxville. So certainly going to be looking to have a very similar run here tonight. Has to gain a couple of spots here in this preliminary heat race in order to get in as we get set to go here. Rusty Kruger and Curtis Merriman on the front row. Pace truck is off, and so is Kruger. Heat number 2 is on.
And Rusty Kruger going to use the momentum of the top side of 1 and 2 to his advantage. Kind of like I thought, the top side of 1 and 2, middle bottom of 3 and 4 so far is working pretty well for these guys. Relatively smooth sailing as they go 2 by 2 by 2 down the backstretch.
And you can see how wide this track is. You can use the bottom in these corners and riding right up along that cushion on the outside line. These guys are finding the best run, but boy, Curtis Merriman got a big run in the middle of 1 and 2, was able to duck down and pass Ernie Williams in the 91.
And I believe he got into the wall.
Oh, but now he's in the wall. He's in it now.
Oh, and around he goes.
Yep, Merriman around backwards, so that will move him out of the top 4. Williams, Fitzpatrick, and Lowe battling now, and Lowe has Stephen Goldner all over him in that number 30, looking for the 4th spot, and Goldner right now with a beautiful slide job. Can he hold it? No, he cannot, as Lowe takes the position.
Big slider there, Frank. That one was tight. He was probably holding on to the wheel pretty tight on that one.
He's going to try it again as well, and I think the 20 of Lowe is going to get him back just the same. Now Goldner has it. Boy, almost took the nose off of the 43 of Jake Greenwood in the process, but as we begin the final lap, it has been Rusty Kruger the entire way, has not had an issue. Goldner and Lowe once again going at it down the back straightaway. But in the end, it will be Rusty Kruger winning heat number 2. Ernie Williams, Jeff Fitzpatrick, and Stephen Goldner are going to be the ones that advance, as Lowe just could not hold on to the position.
And what a battle that was there for that bubble spot. As you're watching these heat races, that's really going to be a lot of the action that you want to keep your eyes on, because if you don't hold on to that 4 spot, we're only taking 4. You're going to have to race your way in through a consolation that's just not going to be easy for you.
Well, absolutely not. As Rusty Kruger, Ernie Williams, Jeff Fitzpatrick, Stephen Goldner, the 4 that will advance on. Jonathan Lowe, Jake Greenwood, and Curtis Merriman will be the 7 that move on. Will be the 3 that move on to the consolation race. Again, the winner of the consolation race will be added to the main, so we will have 15 drivers in the final main race. As I believe, Ben, you now have the starting grid for heat number 3.
Starting on the pole of heat number 3 is going to be the 110 of Kevin Hanley. Outside of him, the 25 of Kevin Click. Row number 2 comprised of the 27 of Brad Lamberson. He was one of the only guys in practice to apex the 13-second mark So keep your eyes out for him. Outside of him is the number 8 of Mike Keegan. And making up the tail of the field will be the 01 of Kyle Stoltz and the 77 of Aaron Schaefer.
So that is the 6 drivers that will participate here in heat number 3. Kevin Hanley and Kevin Click leading that front row, but Mike Keegan certainly is going to be one to watch in that X. He has the final transfer spot on the outside line here for this race. Boy, he's got a lot of big-time competitors around him. Lamberson, Schaefer, and Stoltz are not going to let him have it easy. This is by far and away, I personally think, the best heat that we've had so far.
As the iRacing pace truck pulls in, Kevin Hanley leads him down into 1 and 2. He's going to have the advantage of the momentum on the top side for the time being.
Mike Keegan in that 4th position as Lamberson and Click had a little bit of a moment there through 3 and 4 on the opening lap. Now Lamberson going to get around the outside of the 25 of Click as they head through 3 and 4. Schaefer and Stoltz still quite a bit away as there goes the 25 of Click into the wall. And just so easy. We've seen it each heat race so far. Somebody just getting into that outside wall, jumping that cushion, and getting out there just a little too far.
And that's going to put Aaron Schaefer in the hot seat. He's got Kyle Stoltz all over the rear of his car. We'll see if he can continue to make a good run on, as he's going to take a look to the outside of him heading into turns 1 and 2. Smooth sailing for Hanley. Lamberson slowly but surely chipping away at him, down to 0.3 of a second of a lead here, Frank.
Yeah, and I'm seeing Hanley taking that outside line. Meanwhile, Lamberson, a much more aggressive line on the inside, works a little bit better for Hanley there, as that cushion's still very much in the middle of the track in 3 and 4 as we hit 2 laps to go.
And right now, Aaron Schaefer kind of getting diced up in that bubble seat, as he's going to fall back to the tail of the field, try to take a look to the inside. As Kyle Stoltz now, if he can hold on as they come to the checkered, is going to advance straight into the feature.
It'll be Kevin Hanley winning heat number 3, and Kyle Stoltz, you're right, is the one that advances through. As we'll take a look at the final results here as we get ready for heat number 4. Kevin Hanley, Brad Lamberson, Mike Keegan, and Kyle Stoltz all make it through. Kevin Click and Aaron Schaefer, and that one's got to be upsetting for Kevin Click, who started 2nd position in this heat, and unfortunately that could not get him the spot that he needed to get as we go now to the grid for this heat.
Vinny Sansoni going to start on the point of heat number 4 in that 80 car. Jeffrey Stewart in the 72 outside of him. Kyle Moonen, who's always fast. Keep your eyes on Kyle here tonight in the 26 car, starting in the 2nd row. The 24 of Tony Gamble going to start on the outside of Moonen. And in our 3rd row, the 3 car of Darren DeTwiller and the 28 of Jesse Bandy.
So that will be the 6 competitors who will be going into this 4th heat. 4th and final heat. After this will be the consolation race, where the winner will go on to the main race. And again, don't forget to stick around here after this race here tonight completes. Going to take a little bit of a break as we did last week. And then we will bring you the Big Block Modified Series Tour. Those guys, these guys will be bringing those cars, pardon me, to, I believe it's Limaland, 50 laps at a very, very short technical circuit at Limaland. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up right after this, starting at around 10 o'clock or as close to 10 o'clock as we can get if this race goes a little long. As the pace truck ducks on off, green flag is in the air. Sansoni leads them down, and we are racing here in the fourth and final heat.
Oh, contact down the back.
Yep, that was a big one.
Stewart,
Oh, and a
he
big
did
one.
all hard.
That's Tony Gamble, I believe, or pardon me, that was Jeff Stewart, who went upside down. And he's going to bring it into the pits, and that will be it. But right now, it's Darren Detweiler and Tony Gamble that are battling for the final transfer spot. Is that one right there? Most eventful first lap of the heats, I must say.
And they're trading sliders. Something happened right here with Tony Gamble. After that last slider, Darren Detweiler able to really solidify out in front of Tony here. Pretty smooth sailing for the rest of the field right now. Half a second lead for Vinny Sansoni over Kyle Moonen after starting third, able to take advantage of that lap one mishap, if you will, by Jeff Stewart.
Sansoni right now coming into tonight's race third in points, 50 points behind the points leader Kruger. And Sansoni appearing to be walking away with this race, but Kyle Moonen not letting him go all that far away, as these two right now are still right there with each other. And there you see the gap between the two. It's growing, but not by much.
Really good racing so far here tonight. Frank, can't be disappointed whenever you're watching the 410 DOB series. Kyle Moonen just not able to close up quick enough, as Vinny Sansoni is going to come out of turn 4 to take the checkers for heat number 4.
Absolutely. Sansoni is the winner here, and after what happened on lap 1, the race was pretty much set. So as we will now take a look at the results here for Heat 4, we now know who will be going into the feature race. Vinny Sansoni, Kyle Moonen, Jesse Bandy, and Darren Detweiler are the guys that will be going into the feature race. Tony Gamble and Jeff Stewart will get a chance to try right now in the consolation race. Once again, the winner of this consolation race gets to go into the main, and right now Chris Roberts has the best chance at it, starting on pole with Jonathan Lowe starting to his outside. Ben, take it the rest of the way.
Kevin Click going to start inside third row. Tony Gamble fourth. Tyson Landis fifth. Jake Greenwood sixth. Aaron Schaefer in seventh. Jeffrey Stewart in eighth. Peyton Grice in ninth. And Curtis Merriman in 10th. As we're going to go 12 laps here. We're going to take 8 to the feature, I believe, here, Frank.
Wasn't just the winner?
They got it shuffled up.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we will be getting this consolation race underway here just momentarily. Chris Roberts in the 93, leading them down. Jonathan Lowe, those guys are a little bit of a disadvantage. Those guys were a part of the first heat to go here tonight, but they will take the green flag here, and we are off and racing. And boy, Lowe and the 24, and Lowe already getting involved. So we'll get to it in a second as Lowe, and there you see Jeff Stewart again, unfortunately, getting caught up in it. We'll take a replay here of the start. Jonathan Lowe, the 20 on the outside line. And boy, that 24 tried an aggressive move in the middle, and it did not pay off for him, as both the 24 and the 20 end up on their sides. Back to live pictures here, and already these guys are still running at it. Kevin Click, Tyson Landis, and Aaron Schaefer trying to battle for that second position, all trying to chase down Chris Roberts.
Aaron Schaefer, our biggest mover right now, started 7th up to 4th right now. But all the Curtis Roberts show this far as Kevin Click start taking a look to the inside of him here, see if he can get it moving as the track starts to get slicker. Big slider here from Click to take the lead away from Roberts, but Roberts gonna beat him back to the flag.
And that's just the line that these guys took. And you can see right here on this picture, that outside line starting to get very, very slick. Coming off of turn 2, you're going to start to see these guys migrate down the track a little bit as this race goes on, at least on corner exit, to try to find the grip as to where they can get the best run off the corner. And right there, you saw it. Kevin Click was on the inside out of 2, got the better run. He's now able to take this race lead. Chris Roberts, however, on the inside now. He is going to slide up. Click with the straight run off, able to maintain with 4 to go at the line.
And Aaron Schaefer going to throw his hat in the ring here as he's going to the outside of Chris Roberts as we speak, coming out of 2. Really good run down the backstretch. But there's certainly a good bit of moisture still in the bottom of the track that the grip is still there as we have 2 to go.
Certainly is. As Tyson Landis in that 31 trying to extend that cushion up a little bit closer to the wall as the 93 of Roberts having his issues trying to keep Aaron Schaefer behind him. Schaefer able to use that momentum on the outside line, and Roberts, who started on pole here for this consolation race, has now fallen back into the 3rd position. Kevin Click starting to get away, and there's contact between the 93 and the 77. Schaefer and Roberts, but the winner is going to be Kevin Click. He will move on to the A main.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. As we get the results in here, the official results, Kevin Click gonna win it. Tyson Landis in 2nd, Chris Roberts in 3rd, Jake Greenwood, last week's winner, in 4th, Aaron Schaefer 5th, Peyton Grace 6th, Curtis Merriman 7th, Tony Gamble 8th, Jonathan Lowe in 9th, and rounding out the field in 10th after another mishap here in the consolation, Jeffrey Stewart. Unfortunate, sometimes Lady Luck's just not on your side. But if that was any indication of what our feature is going to look like here tonight, it is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and I'll put my hand up and take blame for that. Jeff Stewart actually did not start that consolation race. It was just Tony Gamble and Jonathan Lowe that were involved in that, so I'll put my hand up on that one and say that I was wrong. As we are in to a 20-minute warm-up session here, which I believe they're trying to figure out the order as to who is going to be, 1, who is going to be running in this race, and 2, who is where they're going to be starting. As we take this warm-up race, and I know Ben, you would have a better a better look at that than I would as far as what they're discussing.
Yeah, so I think essentially what we're doing, if I'm not mistaken, I think that these guys normally run a dash. I think that they're doing a pill draw for how they're going to start this feature instead of running a dash to set the. I'm not exactly sure what they normally pull, if it's the top 5 or the top 7 or whatever. I think they're doing 7 here right now. So that's going to set our field for the start of this feature event.
So that, I will say that this is my first time actually broadcasting for this series. I know this is your 2nd, as it appears as though the 27 of Brad Lamberson has drawn pole here in this little 7-car dash.
See, but here's the funny thing. A lot of dirt guys, they like to invert. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the invert or not, but, so if you pull a 1, you might be starting in the 7th spot. If you pull a 7, you might be starting in the 1st spot. So, I'm not exactly sure how they normally run that, but like I said, I was pretty sure that they typically will run a dash. So that's going to set the, there's some guys rolling out here.
Yeah, these would be the guys that are in the dash.
Yep, yep. So
So
my apologies, not exactly, only my second broadcast as well. I knew that they typically ran a dash, but I thought maybe they were jumping over that for a pill draw instead.
I believe that this dash will be 6 laps if I'm going off of what I remember from what happened at Knoxville last week. So it'll be Ernie Williams, Kevin Hanley, Michael Sheridan, Brad Lamberson, Vinny Sansoni, Kyle Moonen, and Rusty Kruger will be the drivers who are taking part in this dash. And it would appear as though the 91 of Ernie Williams has drawn pole for this, and Rusty Kruger will be starting in second. So as we get set to go here for this dash, the green flag is effectively out for the dash, and we are racing. We'll see how long this takes.
And Ernie Williams going to jump out to the early lead here as the 24 car. Taking a look to the inside of him, not able to make it stick off the bottom. As you can see, the momentum starting to come to the top of the track. A lot of rubber down through the middle and the top coming in on both ends of the track right now, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ernie Williams starting to run away with this at the front of the field. The 5 of Rusty Kruger has the 15 of Michael Sheridan to bother him on the inside line. The 26 of Kyle Moonen sitting behind them. And a little bit of contact there between Kruger and Sheridan.
Rusty able gonna bounce back to the top side here. And he's going to have a lot of momentum on Sheridan down the backstretch as he's able to clear him. He's going to move down a line. Right now, all smooth sailing for Ernie Williams Jr. out front as he's running about 0.02 of a second quicker than our points leader, Rusty Kruger, currently.
This is lap number 7 here of this dash race. So I'd have to assume they're going to run 8 laps just as they did in the heats. And Kruger... Oh, nope, that was it. So Ernie Kruger wins the dash.
Well, it's tough when we're wrapped up in this action. We're calling it. They're running, the dash in the warm-up. It can be tough to keep track of all of it.
Yeah, certainly, especially for somebody who, 1, is not a dirt guy, and 2, who is somebody who is in as a filler tonight. As Ryan Williams at work, and now the rest of the drivers getting out there to put some lap times in before this 35-lap feature race here tonight at Eldora for the 410 Sprint Series.
And let me ask you here, Frank, you enjoying the show so far? Because I'm having a blast, man. Like I said, Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I didn't have anything to do last Thursday night because the USRA series is in an off season. Had nothing to do, and I decided, you know what the heck, let me jump in, and I was able to listen to Ryan and Tony call the race, and I'm sitting here snapping screenshots for these guys last week, and it was a heck of a lot of fun to watch. Not knowing much about dirt racing, I've done very limited driving on dirt here in the iRacing Simulator. It certainly has been a very entertaining night as these guys wind down this warm-up session.
And it's really only going to get better. I think I'm actually kind of surprised that the track isn't a little bit slicker than what it is already. But it's going to make some really good racing. The track's really wide. I heard you say it a couple times. The cushion really was pretty low on the track for a good while of time. It's now been pushed up towards the wall quite a bit. So, to be able to run a good slider line right now, I think is going to have a lot of effect. And we saw it in the last heat race. We saw it in the Consi, maybe even the third heat race. I think that there was quite a bit of sliding. So if you're watching at home, make sure that you go refill your cooler right now. And if you're going to grab a snack, grab it, because you are not going to want to miss this.
Yeah, no, this is certainly going to be a fun night of racing here, and we're not done after this series rounds up. Be sure to stay here. We are going to do our interview process the way we normally do it. But then after that, we're going to take a quick little intermission as we get everything set up for the Big Block Modified Series that will be running at Limaland right after this series comes to a close. That session will go up at 10 o'clock, and that's when we will try to rejoin you a couple minutes after 10 so we can do this all over again. As we get set for the final feature race, we'll take a look at the starting lineup. It'll be Craig Dunn, well, at least for right now. We'll show you the competitors. We might not know what order they're going to be in, but we'll show you the competitors as Craig Dunn and Rusty Kruger, Kevin Hanley and Vinnie Sansoni, Michael Sheridan and Ernie Williams Jr., Brad Lamberson and Kyle Moonen, Cameron Merriman and Jeff Fitzpatrick, Mike Keegan and Jesse Bandy, and Ben takes the rest of the way.
Randy Shreves. Sorry, trying to get her.
You're good.
You're all. Steven Goldner, Kyle Stoltz in 15th, Darren DeTwiller in 16th, Kevin Click in 17th, Tyson Landis in 18th, Chris Roberts in 19th, Jake Greenwood in 20th, Aaron Schaefer in 21st, Peyton Grice in 22nd, Curtis Merriman in 23rd, and Tony Gamble going to round out the field at 24th, as these guys are getting sorted out for their official starting spot. See if we can get a good call out of where they're at.
So it looks as though it'll be the 91 and the 5X again, or the 5K rather, again, up at the front of this field here. Now, we're not going to go green. If this is the first time you're watching the series, we're not going to go green when the pace truck ducks off. They're going to do another pace lap just to make sure everyone is in the proper order, which is why they're all still hanging out right here. Some of the guys in the back now trying to sort themselves out the proper way. We'll be doing the same procedure for the modified series coming up after this. So it looks as though it'll be Ernie Williams and Rusty Kruger that will be leading us down. And again, caution laps will not count here in the feature race. So as we come out of turn number 3, this 35-lap feature about to get underway. There goes Williams, and we are racing 24 drivers here at Eldora.
Ernie Williams going to make his way to the cushion, followed by Rusty Kruger. A lot of guys really shaking it up, trying to see if they can make something happen early on in the little bit of moisture that's left on the bottom.
There's a big pile up, and the caution's going to come out here. There was a big pile up towards the back. Curtis Merriman, Stephen Goldner, and Tony Gamble all at the back of this field. As there's Merriman, boy, just see how close everybody is, and there's Goldner just getting snapped around. Boy, the 24 again of Gamble has just had no luck whatsoever here tonight. And that will be the first caution of this race. And again, caution laps not counting.
And so far, I mean, you saw it. I mean, these guys aren't going to be afraid to try to use up, every little bit of moisture that's left in this track. It's really starting to get rubbered up. As you saw, these guys were preferring to run that top side. The cushion being as low as it was has left a lot of life up by the wall and really put a lot of rubber down in that middle high entry point that you'd really like to try to make a good run towards that moisture that's just below the highest slick that you can see there. It makes it really difficult to be able to carry your momentum through those corners, Frank.
Absolutely, and it's all about lines here on the dirt. I found that out in my several attempts at racing here, and you can just see, you're right, that the outside line right where you would turn into the corner really getting rubbered in for these guys, and that's only going to make it more difficult as the night goes on. As you can see, that thick band is what we're talking about there. Where it gets rubbered in, the back end just does not want to plant. This is the exact opposite of what you would want in an oval car. You want to be away from the rubber in these cars as we go back to green flag racing here. Starting lap number 4, as already the 110 of Kevin Hanley is in trouble in the wall and sliding backwards again.
Smooth sailing for Ernie as he's got Rusty sitting in his mirror in the second spot, followed by Kyle Moonen as he's got a lot of heat behind him here coming from Michael Sheridan on the top side. And like I said, these guys just still dicing it up wherever they think that they can find some speed right now.
Looking at the 21 right now of Cameron Merriman. Now Merriman is in a particularly unique spot. This is his 4th race of the season with these guys, and he has won his previous 3. So Merriman, looking to keep that 100% success rate alive here, is going to have to work for it. Started 9th, currently running in the 6th position in that 21 as the front of the field started to get spread out, but right around Jeff Fitzpatrick and Randy Shreves, these guys are still battling as Fitzpatrick really had to get it together in the middle of 1 and 2.
And, I got to think that part of that is, if I'm not mistaken, what I got from race control, Rusty Kruger, big slider on Ernie to try to take the lead. Couldn't hold the momentum, going to open the door to Kyle Moonen and Michael Sheridan. As Moonen now taking a look to the inside, he was looking for the 2-for-1 special, had to check up for it.
Certainly did. And now the 15, that's Sheridan trying to get through the middle of both Merriman and Moonen. Just can't quite get it done. He will now move to the top line. Merriman up to 3rd position. He seems pretty content with running that inside line, and it's working for him. He's been able to move up 6 positions from his starting spot. Now, he is not the biggest mover of the race as Kruger takes the outside line, is going to lose the spot at least for the moment. The biggest mover goes to Peyton Grice in the 92. There he is, running right now in the 14th position, up 8 spots from where he started tonight.
And you know what? And I think part of what you're seeing with some of these guys just really playing it safe, not trying to beat it into the wall, damage the car, because, these guys are trying to play it as close to real life as possible. 0 fast repairs. So you water up, you're probably going to be done for the night unless you can get just enough time to get a pit in. But if you get too much damage, your car's just not going to have the aerodynamics that these other guys have, which is really important on a big momentum track like Eldora.
Absolutely. As Sheridan manages his way back into the 4th position, 5th place now currently being held by Brad Lamberson. As a matter of fact, those two actually switching spots. Lamberson has really come out of nowhere here. Was kind of running out of this top group as Cameron Merriman right now is in the race lead. And as we had mentioned, we're going to go back and take a look at the pass by Merriman to take that race lead. Right here again, Merriman just running that inside line, is able to get the momentum coming off the bottom, something that the 91 of Williams was not able to get. And now the man who has won his 3 prior entrants back out in front, up 8 spots.
Cameron Merriman out to a 2nd lead.
That just went away. He got in the wall big time going into turn 1. And that's moved him right out of it. And now you can see that inside line starting to slick up. It's turning a lot darker.
And that really opened the door for Rusty. Really good recovery from Cameron. That really could have been bad. Lost a lot of momentum, really out of the groove there. Able to gather it back up and hold off Rusty for the time being. Cut that lead by about a half a second when he did that.
Absolutely did. Kyle Moonen, there you see him. Just getting around Ernie Williams Jr. in that number 91. Brad Lamberson now doing the same in the 27. So Lamberson Ooh, that was a big moment there for Lamberson and Williams as Lamberson caught the rear on the wall and the 91 ran right into the back of him. Kind of held both of those guys up, and Craig Dunn, who won the first heat tonight, running up in the 7th position, started second.
And Cameron Merriman starting to run into lap traffic as he's already put Curtis Merriman down a lap. And I believe he's working on Chris Roberts right now.
Chris Roberts, who had such a good run last week at Knoxville, also at Williams Grove in the big blocks, ran very well there as well, not having such a good night here tonight at Eldora as the 21 has opened up nearly a 2-second lead over the 5K of Rusty Kruger. And the top of the field now starting to get spread out quite a bit. The closest battle is between Sheridan and Kruger, a battle for the 2nd position. But beyond that, Ernie Williams and Craig Dunn battling for the 6th position. Those guys are the closest ones. Lamberson right there as well. Most of the battle happening in the mid-teens as there goes Peyton Grice around Kevin Click.
And a lot of big movers here. Our biggest, obviously, our leader, Cameron Merriman, from 9th to 1st. We got Kyle Moonen from 8th to 4th. And then towards the back of the field, you had quite the shuffle. Jake Greenwood, last week's winner, currently sitting 12th after starting 20th. So certainly not a bad run for him here tonight.
Absolutely, as Randy Shreves, I'll get it right eventually, I promise, battling with Jesse Brandy and Mike Keegan. It's a battle for the 9th position between this group of 3 here. As Shreves doing a very good job of sticking right to the back of Brandy. Fortunately, just cannot find a way to get around, and that X of Mike Keegan really, and boy, that was a big collision with the wall there in turn 1 for Randy Shreves. That's going to lose him some positions. That puts him right back into the battle of Kevin Click and Peyton Grice that we were looking at before. As a matter of fact, he's just going to pull it into pit road and actually get stuck on the pit barrels, and that is going to cause the 2nd caution of the night.
Oh, buddy. Really good long green flag run. Halted by caution here with 3 to go, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, roughly there.
Caution laps not counting. And that's going to reset the field. And if you're Cameron Merriman, that is not what you wanted to see here.
Oh, absolutely not. As Cameron Merriman, his, a 2.5 second lead has completely evaporated here. Wow. And now he will have 3 laps to try to hold on to this win.
Wow. Yeah, he's probably going to be squeezing the wheel pretty tight here. I mean, he's got a field of bees behind him. I was just about to say before the caution came out, really what at least that I could tell, the closest battle on the track of lead lap cars was between Rusty and Michael Sheridan in the 2nd and 3rd spot, which was probably around the 2nd. But Michael Sheridan was never letting Rusty go, and Mike's been fast all night. So, I mean, this isn't going to be easy for Cameron right now. He's dominated, but he's got the pack of highs behind him, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And our intermission won't be as long as we thought it was going to be. Now we're just about to tick over to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, as we will get one more lap behind the safety truck before we complete the final, 4 laps of this event.
And probably going to be a lot of action here at the
I would imagine
at the front of the field. It's going to be probably a slider city, unless you're worried about your momentum. But I mean, here to win. I suppose.
They've brought the caution back out here, and they are going to do another pace lap as guys try to get back into the order that they were in at the time of caution, get back to the back of the field, come out of pit road, whatever they need to do. And we will go green this time. And that's what I'm thinking here. It's so different from asphalt. It's almost completely backwards. You want to be in the rubber on the asphalt. Here you want to stay as far away from it as possible. Dive bombs on corner entry is what you need to look for in asphalt. It's the slide jobs on corner exit is what you need to look out for here, and we're going to see a couple of them. But boy, Merriman does a great job of defending that inside line. Does hit the outside wall, though, coming through 1 and 2. He's going to keep that lead. Sheridan and Kruger right on each other.
Rusty tried to make the middle work there. Missed it there. My bad.
I believe that's Lamberson in the middle in the 27. And he's going to collide with the 91 going into turn 3, and that's going to stack the field up.
And Rusty's reeled in Cameron again.
Goodness, there's so much tight racing going on in the middle of this field. You almost don't want to look away, but we are on the final lap here. From Eldora, Cameron Merriman running as close to the inside wall as he possibly can. Kruger running as close to the outside wall as he possibly can. But it's going to be Cameron Merriman winning his 4th feature of the year in his 4th attempt. Cameron Merriman takes the win.
Great race. Great race, really all night. You know, the heat races were really good. The Consi was really good. Feature was really good. Obviously dominated by Cameron, but what do we got for some results here, Frank?
Yeah, we'll get to those here in just a minute. We're going to wait for our top 3 to jump in for interviews here. But boy, this was a fantastic race. And again, you knew Eldora, with how wide it is and with how quick this place is, you knew it was going to provide some great racing, and that's exactly what we got here tonight with these guys. And just there's your overview of the track, almost completely rubbered in. These guys were all over the place here tonight. As we will now go to the interviews here tonight, and I believe, Brad, you have, hold on 1 second here. Unfortunately, don't have the ability to drag people into the booth here, so we're going to wait patiently here for either Cam Merriman to pop in or for me to be able to drag him in. As I guess while we wait here, we will go to, we may as well go to the results for tonight's feature race. And boy, it was a good one. Cameron Merriman, Rusty Kruger, and Michael Sheridan, the top 3. We'll be hearing from those guys here momentarily. Kyle Moonen and Brad Lamberson rounding out the top 5. Peyton Grice, Craig Dunn, Kevin Hanley, Ernie Williams Jr., and Jesse Bandy will round out the top 10. Ernie Williams, we saw him have the lead up there for the first half of this feature. Unfortunately, could not hold on to it. Mike Keegan, Kyle Stoltz, and Darren Detweiler, 11 through 13, Ben.
And I believe we have our race winner, Cameron Merriman. Can you hear me, Cameron?
Got a copy.
Oh, there we go.
Awesome, man. Hey, really great run here tonight, man. Always a ton of fun to watch you. Gritting in that 9th spot. What was your key to success to making your way through the field, as it just seemed like it didn't take you long at all?
I think the key was, it actually turned out to be a mistake in the end. The key for me, though, was to recognize that the track looked pretty healthy. There were a lot of lines, and typically with Eldora, especially when the sun's out and it's like a mid-afternoon race, the track will become really slick all the way across, and there's really no other line to run except the top. But at the beginning of, or I should say at the end of the warm-up / beginning of the feature tonight, there was a lot of moisture at the bottom in 1 and 2 specifically, and then you could kind of dance around 3 and 4 depending on where you wanted to go. So I had actually built the setup for my car in anticipation for, being maneuverable. What that means is I had put some extra stagger in and some other things. But that actually ended up biting me at the end. For whatever reason, even though it was overcast, maybe it was really hot or the wind was high, it got more slick here than I recall in recent memory. So at the end of the race, after the final restart, I was really struggling because when you run higher stagger like that, the car will dance and float around a lot more on the cushion, and it's much less stable. So Rusty was making me honest there at the end, but certainly at the beginning, I was making huge gains, I think being one of the only people down at the bottom of 1 and 2.
Yeah, through the, really good long green flag run here to start the race. I think we made it 32 green laps or 31 green laps. And then, I had said on the broadcast, if you're Cameron Merriman, this caution is not what you want to see. As that track changed so much, as you alluded to, were you a little bit worried about which groove you were going to try to run and where Rusty was going to go, or did you have a pretty good idea of how you were going to handle that?
Yeah, good question. Certainly throughout the stretch, the track will change a lot, and the bottom of 1 and 2, I never really trust the bottom of 3 and 4. That's why I specify 1 and 2. But the bottom of 1 and 2 really kind of goes away. There's nothing there on exit, so you got to chase the track some more. And before the final caution came out, I was having a hell of a time running with the lap cars. I think right before the caution came out, I put a slider on like 4 cars in turns 3 and 4. It was wild, and I was having a ton of fun. I wasn't even watching the splits to see how far back Rusty was. I was just feeling confident in the way that I was kind of coming through the field that I wasn't going to be challenged. So when the caution came out, certainly I did have to reflect for a moment to think about what line you run, and just kind of looking at the track under the pace laps, there was really nothing anywhere. It was incredibly slick. So just kind of the experience at Eldora tells you gotta stick with the top. And I went to the top. There was actually kind of an anomalous rut on the entry to 1 that would upset the car. And I caught that one time, got kind of loose, like with 3 to go. And then kind of hedged my bets on the last lap there. In the last lap, you're not really trying to keep up the momentum. So I figured I'd try the bottom in 1 and 2 and just sling it in 3 and 4. And it ended up working out, and I held the gap to Rusty. But I think the point being there that, the later in the track development you get, those edges that you can build early in the race and finding the lines and finding the moisture, it kind of evens out across the playing field. Like when you've got a high caliber, roster of drivers following behind you, as the track development gets worse and worse per se, when it gets burnt out some more, the edge that you can have over somebody is less. So Rusty was able to really stay right on my tail there at the end, and it's ultimately up to whether or not I make a mistake in the final lap. So it definitely is a little bit more nerve-wracking, but, glad I could hang on at the end.
Yeah, certainly, man. You're definitely rolling with confidence, as the latter half of the season here, up to this point, you having won 3 and Rusty having won 3. Certainly no lack thereof of confidence coming into Eldora. What's going to be your keys to success looking forward? As if I'm not mistaken, I believe I was told you didn't run last week. Would you be trying to finish out the rest of the season and give Rusty a shot at this points title?
I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, ultimately with Chris and DOB and this series, I love coming here on Thursday nights, but I'm not going to get myself worked up looking at the points. I take it track by track, and Eldora is certainly one of my favorite tracks. The half milers are great, and they put on excellent racing. So from that perspective, I'm coming in each week with a fresh mindset. Just tackle the track and see if I can really put it on the competition. So from looking at it that way, at the end of the season, if I end up putting myself up there with Rusty, then that'll be exciting, and I hope we put on a good fight. But otherwise, I'm just trying to come in here week in and week out, and when I can make it, put on a good race and be competitive, and ultimately see if I can really stick it to the competition.
Before we let you go here, Cam, who do you want to thank that makes that thing so fast, and that you get to go have fun every night and be competitive no matter what you're racing?
Yeah, well, this is really I'm kind of a freelance in that respect. I do race out here every night with my father. Curtis, he made the feature tonight, was running around having a good time. we hang out together, and when the Pro Series comes around, he's there to help, spot for me, call lap times and splits for me, looking at the data. So from that perspective, it's cool to have friends and family supporting. But for tonight, I want to thank you guys up in the booth and Chris Roberts and all the sponsors that make this thing happen. It's awesome that you guys are able to put on a broadcast, especially one with high quality that I can send out to anyone who's interested to see what it's all about. And I think that you guys put on a great show. So much appreciated. Big kudos. And it's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Well, thanks for giving us something to broadcast, man. Hope to see you at Cedar Lake next week.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, so that was your feature race winner, Cameron Merriman. We go next to our second place finisher here for the 410 Sprint Car Series, Rusty Kruger. Rusty, you had a very good run all night long. You were able to battle first with Ernie Williams, and then you got into the battle with Sheridan. What was it like out there tonight as far as how slick the track got? Because we heard Merriman say this was slicker than he remembers.
Oh, he hit it right on the head, honestly. The overcast skies that the virtual Eldora Speedway had for us kind of threw us a curveball. I was kind of praying for a little more moisture to hang on to stay in the racetrack, but, we just basically held on for dear life there for the next 35 laps or so. And, Cameron was on God mode tonight. I was just happy to hang with him a little better this time. But all in all, it was a good points night, and hoping to not really count our chickens before they hatch, but we're getting that champagne on ice about now.
Yeah, definitely a very good points night for you. You came into the race tonight with a 26-point lead. You're going to leave it with quite a bit more, with Keegan finishing, I believe it was down in the 11th position. Throughout this night, you had a lot of close encounters, and with how slick this track was, how difficult did that make passing, and how treacherous was it to try to put a slide job on to try to get in front of the guy in front of you?
Honestly, the sliders are pretty hard. It's mainly a judgment thing. Like you want to throw it in there as hard as you can, but you also don't want to kill the guy in front of you. I came close to Ernie a couple times, and also me and Sheridan had it look like a nice side-by-side battle for everyone watching. I hope that was some good entertainment. But all in all, I mean, it was one of the more challenging Eldora tracks I can remember. It was quite a lot more difficult than the last time I ran here with this series, the Fork-Run, which, I was a winner that night, but I guess we're the first loser tonight.
And unfortunately for you, going into next round at Cedar Lake, what are your thoughts going there? It wasn't that long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, you guys were at Cedar Lake. What's your thoughts going into there the second time in the last 4 races?
I hope we keep up the momentum. I think I ran second there to Cameron. I know that sounds like a broken record at this point, but hopefully we could close the gap a little bit to him, and keep coming on the podium, because I enjoy talking to you guys. You guys put on a great show for the fans and for everyone involved, and we'll just try and keep this up.
Well, we certainly hope so. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go get ready for the big block race?
Just gotta thank the boys over at Slick and Speed Live, and I say this every week. They put in a phenomenal job to make sips as fast and also as comfortable as possible for scrubs like me to try and run up front. And also Fast Four Media, Jake Swanson's Shock Technology, Moto, and of course the Esports Broadcasting Network.
Well, we thank you very much for that shout out as well. Rusty Kruger, your second place finisher tonight. Congratulations, bud.
Thanks. Have a good one.
So that will now bring in Michael Sheridan, your third place finisher here tonight. We'll try to get this one as quickly as possible, as we know that that second room is about to begin here. So we'll get this through here. Ben, you're with Michael.
Hey, Mike, Ben with ESBN. Really great run here tonight. In our couple other interviews talking about, not really expecting the track to be in the state that it was. How much did that affect your game plan coming in here to Eldora tonight?
Didn't really affect it a whole lot. I've ran here with these guys quite a bit in the past, and it seems like pretty much always plan on a slick track. So that's just kind of how I always approach the features with DOB. So I had it already set up for it to be pretty slick. So it worked out pretty good, I think, for the most part.
You had really, I'd say for 3/4 of that race, a really good long green run of like 31 or 32 laps, if I'm not mistaken. Really quite a bit of battling with Rusty. Did you feel like maybe you had a little advantage over Rusty here tonight, and that maybe if you could have got around him, would you have had something for Cameron?
As far as with Rusty, I think what was helping was we were catching lap traffic. He had kind of gotten a little bit of a distance on me. I think coming out of turn 4, I got a little loose up top and had to check up quite a bit, and felt like I was reeling him back in once we were starting to get into lap traffic. So I think if we would have stayed green a little bit longer, even if we were obviously if we would have finished it, I think I would have had a chance to get by him. Don't know if I would have, but if I had, I don't think I would have had anything for Cam. He's pretty tough to beat, and I haven't been able to get him yet, so I don't even know if it would have happened tonight either.
As we look forward next week with Cedar Lake, is that something that you're looking forward to keep the momentum moving? See if we can get back on the podium again, or is your specialty more in some of these longer tracks?
Cedar Lake, I tend to run somewhat decent. I tend to like the bigger tracks a little bit better. Just kind of hoping I can make it into next week. Other commitments are going to potentially make it to where I can't make it, but I'm going to do my best.
Well, we definitely hope to see you. You always have a ton of speed here with the DOB 410 sprint cars. Who can you thank for having that much speed?
Thank all my teammates with the Brent Marks Racing Sim team. Obviously, our sponsors, M&M Painting and Construction, Babs Auto Paints and Supply, Fredericksburg Eagle Hotel, Nice Crete and Landis Block and Concrete, Wicked Cushion Esports, K1 Race Gear, R.E. Pearson Construction Company, Wolfram Landscapes. Give a shout out to Countryside Stove and Chimney for helping get this broadcasted, and thanks to you guys with Esports Broadcasting Network as well. And then obviously Chris with DOB, and congrats to Rusty on second and Cameron on the win.
Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, and hopefully look forward to seeing you next week at Cedar.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys have a good one.
So that was your third place finisher here tonight, Michael Sheridan. So what we're going to do now, while we get set up to go into the modified race, we will take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back after a fun race at Eldora. Time to do it again at Limaland Motorsports Park, coming up in roughly 5 minutes. We will be right back. Welcome back, and as you can see, a little bit of a different look here right now with the big block modifieds going around the very tiny Limaland Motorsports Park. We are in the middle of qualifying right now, with the session extending the way it did for the 410 Sprint Car Series. Had a little bit less time to set up for this race, but no matter. Jeff Sharp now on his qualifying run, and really quick. While we have a second, it appears as though we only have about a minute left. Let's take a look really quick at Joshua Pickle's qualifying lap here, his second time in that number 33. And he is in fourth at the moment, and that is where he will stay. So really quick, welcome to welcome to Limaland Motorsports Park here in Lima. A very short racetrack, only just a tick over a quarter mile, and this is a far cry, not just in car, but in track type from where we were just at.
Yeah, quite the difference. Hope if you just tuned into the 410 Sprint Car Race, you certainly know that what you're about to get here is going to be quality entertainment and racing. The Limaland Motorsports Park, certainly entertaining. The test track and weekly track for the technical school racing team. Actually have a buddy that is pretty familiar with this place, and he says that it is a ton of fun to drive.
It certainly looks like a ton of fun to drive, and a ton of aspirin looks as though it's going to need to be on hand. As we get set here for the first heat, Jeremy Prey, Joshua Pickle will start on the front row for this first heat here. Jake Greenwood and Brock Garris will make up row 2. Row 3 will go to Tyson Landis and Kevin Click. Jeff Sharp will round out the field here for what would be this very first heat here tonight. I believe we're in the same situation where we're going to have 4 heats. We have, at least at last count, we had 21 drivers that are going to be taking part here tonight. And you're already seeing it just a little bit there going into turn 3. This track is going to be a very different kind of dry and a very different kind of racing from what we just saw at Eldora. You could see some genuine dry patches already forming around this place.
Yeah, 10 laps forward to the feature here. What you're going to see is primarily bottom dominant track as the pace truck pulls off, and Jeremy Prey going to bring us to green as he fires and leads the pack into turn 1.
Absolutely, and he has Jake Greenwood all over him. Now, Jake Greenwood able to finish 3rd place at Williams Grove last week, so he's going to be looking to build off of that momentum. And you can see these cars never really get straight once they get going. You're always turning right.
All smooth sailing for Jeremy this far. 2 laps down, and he's got a pack of guys behind him. That's going to be Brock Garris in the middle of on the bottom of a Greenwood and Joshua Pickle sandwich right now, Frank.
You're just riding on board with Greenwood, and you could tell there's not really much vision as far as what's going on around you in one of these things, and you're seeing that top line actually starting to become the preferred line for these guys. Maybe it's a little bit of preservation, knowing that they want the inside for the race. Maybe they're trying to wear out that outside to kind of force the hand downwards for the feature.
Yeah, get that thing pushed off a little bit. Obviously, you can see the marble's not really forming up a middle cushion yet at this point. But I can tell you is, they've blown it off of the middle now, and they're going to continue to try to push that up as Josh Pickle pushing to the bumper of Prey here, and he's going to see if he can make a good run. He has one into turn 1.
Yeah, these two guys were very dominant at Williams Grove, and again, these two are big block only drivers. They do not run in the 410 sprint cars, and Pickle's going to get the momentum on the outside line. Hasn't quite led a lap yet, as that still belongs to Jeremy Prey. Prey, who we saw up at the front all race long at Williams Grove last week. But Pickle, boy, these guys are incredibly close at the line, but it looks as though Prey is going to be able to hold on that inside line. Pickle throws in a big dive, looking for the run on the outside. It's going to be Jeremy Prey to win heat number 1.
What a heat race to open us up here for the DOB Big Block Modified Series at Limaland. Shakes out with Jeremy Prey taking the win here for heat number 1. Joshua Pickle in second, Brock Garrison third, Jake Greenwood in fourth. Going to be the last to make it straight into the feature event. Everybody else going to have to make their way to the consolation, coming in the way of Kevin Click, Jeff Sharp, and Tyson Landis.
Yep, that is the results for the first heat race. We're about to begin heat race number 2. The starting lineup for that will be as follows. Tony Gamble looking to have more luck here in the big blocks than he had in the 410s. He will start on the pole with Brad Lamberson next to him. Jonathan Lowe and Mike Keegan, the current points leader, up in the second row. Craig Loudermilch and Michael Sheridan will make up row 3, and Chad Miller will sit in row 4 for this heat race. Really quick, we'll take a look at the point standings for the Big Block Modified Series coming into tonight's race. Mike Keegan holding a very slim 8-point lead over Kevin Hanley. Those two swapping the points lead after last week at Williams Grove. And something interesting that I had pointed out prior to the festivities getting kicked off tonight, both points leaders in both series coming into the races tonight at 1,002 points, each of them, as Gamble and Lamberson getting together on the pace lap. We saw that. And Gamble is going to get out in front here as Lamberson now trying to fight off Lowe in the 20.
And, you know, if you're one of these guys, you have the advantage of seeing that bottom coming off is just a little bit too slick, and the momentum and the moisture is going to be able to carry you more momentum around the track here as Tony Gamble, it's the Gamble show right now, followed by Brad Lamberson, Mike Keegan, and it's quite the battle on the bubble. It's Jonathan Lowe still holding on in contact.
Oh, went around, yep. On board with Craig Loudermilch, who went around. Now, Loudermilch had one heck of a race last week at Williams Grove, was involved in several incidents, ended up on his side a couple of times as well. Unfortunately, that run of poor luck continuing for Loudermilch, as Gamble having a lot more luck in these cars than he did in the 410 sprints just a minute ago, out in front and walking away from Brad Lamberson.
And just about halfway down with heat race number 2, Michael Sheridan looking in from the outside in the 5th spot. He was mighty fast in the 410 sprint cars, trying to see if he can get it done in the big block modified here. Is Jonathan Lowe going to dice things up with Mike Keegan now for that 3rd spot?
Keegan just has that momentum off the outside, and you can see Lowe is trying to keep it as close to the tires as he possibly can on the inside. Just not able to get that run, and boy, it's looking like that outside line is going to be very, very dominant here, partly because you can see already all of the dry splotches on the inside, and that could be big for Michael Sheridan as Lowe puts it in the wall. Now Sheridan is going to get into that 4th position. As we look back up towards the front, Tony Gamble is going to come across the line. He will win heat number 2.
And a heartbreaker there for Jonathan Lowe is on the last lap going to make a small mistake there getting into the wall, going to give up that transfer spot. Tony Gamble taking the win for heat number 2. Brad Lamberson in 2nd. Mike Keegan in 3rd. Michael Sheridan in 4th. Jonathan Lowe, Craig Loudermilch, and Chad Miller going to have to race their way in through the consolation race here tonight, Frank.
Yep, that's what it's looking like is, oh boy, I'm all over the place right now, unfortunately, as we get set to go for heat number 3. Kevin Hanley will be on the pole with Joshua Hart starting to his outside. Chris Roberts and Kyle Stoltz, Aaron Schaefer and Randy Shreves will make up row number 3, and Peyton Grice will start in the 7th position here for heat race number 3. And this is going to be a big one for Kevin Hanley, considering that he just lost the points lead after last week's race to the man who finished 3rd in heat number 2. Hanley's going to want as good a run as he could possibly get here.
And something that you might not necessarily be able to see, as you can see here going into turn 1, where it gets slick there's actually a difference in track, and it gets bumpy even coming off of turn 2. A lot smoother in 3 and 4, but Pace Truck's going to dip in. Kevin Hanley going to fire us off to green for heat race number 3.
Second to get on the power, that back end just whips right around, and it stays whipped out from the start of the heat to the end of the heat. As you can see in the back, Aaron Schaefer in that 77 trying to battle with the 01 of Kyle Stoltz. And both those guys just competing as we're riding on board with Aaron Schaefer, who is right now out of the transfer. You could see exactly what you were talking about as we ride on board. There's a lot of bumping, a lot of divots in this racetrack here already. As you can see, that dry line really forming, and it's forming in the worst possible place for these cars.
And quite the battle here between the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spot, as Kyle Stoltz sitting on that bubble spot right now. Relatively smooth sailing. He shouldn't be that worried, mainly just looking to not make a mistake and advance into the feature here tonight. But these guys going door to door is certainly going to open the door for him to do that as we just cross over the halfway point.
That's Chris Roberts, Joshua Hart, and Kyle Stoltz who are battling for position. And these guys have pretty well broken away from Schaefer, Shreves, and Grice. So these guys, unless they make a mistake, as you had mentioned, are pretty well in the show. But you can certainly use this as a test session, see where you can get the run, just as long as you don't make a mistake.
And Chris Roberts was really putting that run together, as he's looking to the outside now of Joshua Hart. See if he can get this spot, get a little bit better starting position for the feature.
Looking for it, but just as the first race goes, he's not going to be able to do it. Kevin Hanley, however, is going to be able to do it. He will win heat number 3 here at Limaland. Joshua Hart and Chris Roberts finishing 2nd and 3rd. Kyle Schultz gets the final transfer spot.
See, now you have the upper hand on me, Frank, because this is my first week with the big block modifieds with the DOB series. So
my first time
I hope you know
well.
a little bit more about the format than I do.
I'm pretty sure it's the same format, as I think we're only running, because we only have 21 drivers here, it was able to work its way out to where we will be running just 3 heats tonight. So with that, the heat races are done. Now we will go into that same scenario of a little bit of a sprint race before we go into the feature. And while they're setting it up, we'd like to remind you that tomorrow night, the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series will be running the ARCA cars at Daytona. That race will be starting at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming up on Tuesday, after a little bit of a 3-day weekend for us, we're right back to work. It's a double dip. The MX-5 Pro Series will run round number 4 at Olton Park at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. as it appears these guys are already getting going. As it
Straight
looks
out of the pits to the dash,
Yeah,
Joshua Pickle leading them.
I think these guys are actually doing like a genuine practice here before the dash, because now everybody's on track right now. Anyway, continuing on, the nightcap will be the Western States Racing League from Pocono Raceway. It'll be round number 12 for them. That race will be starting at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time, and then a double dip on Wednesday with the Endurance for Beginners Series. They will start their season in the GT3 cars at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That will be at 8:25. And then at 8:45 will be round number 9 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. They will be at Spa-Francorchamps come this next Wednesday. So as we work down this practice session here, everybody on track, everyone's going to get into the main. This is certainly, 21 cars around a track that shakes out to be just over a quarter mile. It's there's not a lot of room to, one, get away, and two, not a lot of room for comfort.
It's a handful, and what you're seeing right here, I think they allow for a lot of time and practice. They're not going to use all of it. Just run it in till it's a little bit slicker, make things a little bit more interesting. As you can see, the top side starting to slick off now. And a side note, all that great stuff that you're mentioning, the easiest way to catch it, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, hit the notifications bell on every single one of those, and you will never miss a minute of ESBN action because you do not want to.
Yeah, no, we've had a ton of fun here tonight, and we will continue to have a ton of fun. Last night, for the Sim Racers Edge Series, unfortunately, it wasn't one of their better efforts, even though they've put on a ton of great shows over the course of this season and their last season as well. I'm sure Spa-Francorchamps in a week's time is going to be a lot better than this past week. So now, as we are about to begin the feature race here tonight for the Big Block Modified Series, take a look at who will be participating in this race. Not necessarily what order they are going to be in, but here are the participants for this race here tonight. As we take a look, it will be Jeremy Prey, Tony Gamble, Kevin Hanley, Joshua Pickle, Brad Lamberson, Joshua Hart, Brock Garris, Mike Keegan, Chris Roberts, Jake Greenwood, Michael Sheridan, and Kyle Stoltz, the first half of the drivers that will be competing in this race.
Kevin Click gonna start 14th, Jonathan Lowe, Aaron Schaefer 15th, Jeff Sharp 16th, Craig Lundermilch 17th, Randy Shrees 18th, Tyson Landis 19th, Chad Miller 20th, and Peyton Grice gonna round out the field in that 21st spot here tonight.
And for what it looks like, it doesn't. I'm going to assume, and Lord knows what happens when you assume. I'm going to assume it's going to be a very similar starting procedure to the last race, as Brad Lamberson on that inside. Green flag is out, and my assumption turns out to be right, as this will be a 49-lap feature. God, it's nice being right once in a while, isn't it?
Well, you can't go wrong with being right, eh?
Absolutely not. So it'll be Lamberson, Gamble. These guys now still trying to get into the proper order. This is the feature race for the Big Block Modified Series. We are underway here from Limaland, 50 laps around this quarter mile. Boy, already in the back, they are all over the place.
Oh yeah, you're going to find action all over the place. Brad Lamberson jumps out to the early lead, but the 24 of Tony Gamble trying to make the middle work. He's going to make it stick down the back. see where the preferred line moves to in 3 and 4.
You saw the 33 of Joshua Pickle last lap and still doing it here. He was right on those white tires on the inside this past time around turns 1 and 2. He was running over them the last time around, as we'll ride on board now. This is with Kevin Hanley in that 110, trying to get the points lead back, and this is what it's like being in one of these cars right in the middle of the field. It's, well, stressful, we'll put it that way.
And they are really dicing it up at the front. Joshua Pickle back out to the lead. Tony Gamble moving back into the middle here. See if he can get some momentum build up. He certainly does. The 27 of Brad Lamberson following the train on the bottom. These guys are hooking it up all over the place. This is a really racy track right now. 3 wide coming down to the flag stand. Give it to Josh Pickle.
Looking also in the back there, Heat 1 winner Jeremy Prey caught up in a big scuffle there in the middle of the field. Look at the 43 of Jake Greenwood. Just throw it into the corner and hope that it doesn't catch too much wall, as Greenwood running that outside and gets cut off there by Joshua Hart in the 58. Not a quarter-mile dirt track. It's what's going to happen, as I believe Kyle Stoltz in the 01 has had an issue. And that will be caution number 1. Already 8 laps into this thing.
You're not, you're getting it for free, but if you paid for it, you spent a good dollar here. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely, and that was the issue that happened with the 01 of Stoltz. Just got up a little too high and pancaked the wall coming out of turn 2. Bounced him on his side and then around. So we are almost the 5th of the way through this race. Again, just in the same way of the 410 series. Caution laps not counting here as we go back to green flag racing. Joshua Pickle out in front, and this field now getting a little bit more spread out, which I think might help some of these guys.
Tony Gamble riding in second right now, the 27 of Brad Lamberson. He's going to continue to try the bottom. He certainly has some speed down there right now, has the whole race, but that momentum really starting to pick up on the top side.
And you can see down there on that bottom as he just runs right over that tire on the inside, especially down in 3 and 4. If you can get right on those tires, you can have the whole car in a wetter part of the racetrack with a little bit more grip, as Greenwood trying to find some grip in the middle through 1 and 2 in the 43. But these guys right now are searching all over the place, and as we said, this is a very different type of dry racetrack from what we just raced at Eldora.
And a lead change coming out of 4. No, Tony Gamble not able to take it at the line. He's just still chugging along at the middle here. Gonna try to gather it back up. As you can see, the 27, you can, you know, as you shuffle up your lines, if you don't hit it just right, you can really give up a lot of time here, Frank.
Absolutely. We're trying to ride on board to give you a decent shot out the back end of the 33 of Joshua Pickle. Kevin Hanley right now in that 110, running in the 5th position. He would regain the points lead after tonight's race, because the man sitting not directly behind him on the outside line, but he's out there, the ex of Mike Keegan, the current points leader, currently sitting in the 7th position, as Hanley and Garris currently having a little bit of a squabble over who should hold the 4th position. As caution comes out, Kevin Click in the 21 around. See what happened here with Kevin. 1 and 2. Make it 3 and 4. A little too hot going into 3 and 4, and that's Part of having open wheels on these cars, they tend to climb the wall.
Yeah, you can certainly get yourself in trouble, especially at a place like this. When you're really trying to stick that bottom line, you want to be as aggressive as you can, but you're gonna have to be patient with the throttle. You really want to pick it up coming off. It gives you a tendency in these cars to push up towards the wall. Sometimes even when you think that you have it stuck there. So when you get into that or going into a turn with the right front, it hops up on the wall very easy.
We'll say one thing I do like about quarter-mile racetracks is quick pace laps, and we're about to go back green flag racing here in just a moment. Joshua Pickles still leading in that number 33, and he stacks the field up coming through 3 and 4, and now he's going to take the jump. Tony Gamble falling away in that 24. We are back to green flag racing almost halfway through this 50-lap event.
And the 64 car of Brock Garris now making a big move towards the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take it away from Tony, but Brad Lamberson able to hold him off with the momentum of the top side right now, as things are getting really interesting back there. It's all
Yeah, you look back and you see a big gaggle of cars there. This is roughly the 10th spot through about 15th or 16th is what you're seeing on screen right now. The 56 of Randy Shreves right in the middle of it. Right there, still looking up towards the front. Jake Greenwood battling on that outside, trying to keep Kevin Hanley behind him in that 110. A little bit of contact there between those two. The 27 of Brad Lamberson has moved up to that outside, starting to make his move up forward. However, Brock Garris in that 64 able to hold that inside and keep that momentum up just when he needs to.
in a really good battle at the front of the field so far this race. Look out for Jake Greenwood. He started 10th. He's up to 5th, shuffling it up. I heard you talk about him there for a minute, Frank, but he is really having a great run here with as slick as the track is, but it's racy.
It absolutely is. It's providing a bunch of great racing as 1 and 2 now battling for position. That's Joshua Pickle in the 33 on the outside. You can see that car hopping as he gets across the start-finish line. Tony Gamble just does not have the momentum on the inside line to get around the 33. And you can see it looks like the back end stepped out a little bit, had to recover that number 24 off the inside line.
3 wide for third here again. Just can't quit talking about these guys as Tony just keeps trying to get that ovally momentum run. See if he can get a good run here on Pickle. You can see it here. He's going to cock it off, find the moisture. He just can't get enough coming off there.
You can see that middle lane is starting to there's still some dampness there in that middle lane. It appears to be that extreme low lane and the extreme high lane. Right where Gamble is, there's still some moisture there, and he's just not able to keep that momentum up to get around the 33.
And Mike Keegan throwing his hat in that battle, man. It is the top 5 right now is where the race is at. And these guys are just duking it out lap after lap.
Certainly is. And Kevin Hanley, we were talking about him before, battling with Joshua Hart. That for the 7th position between those two. But back up at the front here, Joshua Pickle still very much battling that 24 of Tony Gamble. And this is the race that Gamble needed after wrecking out of the 410 Sprint Series race earlier tonight. Gamble certainly having a much better time of it here in the modifieds.
And as they're catching lap traffic here, see if Tony can kind of pinch him up here, use that lap car as a pick. But as I'm saying this, Jake Greenwood, after starting 10th, I was just talking about him,
Gamble's
into
climbing the wall.
wall.
That was Gamble.
Greenwood taking that, so now this is the Greenwood pickle, just like that.
and Greenwood, again, finishing 3rd place last week at Williams Grove and won the 410 race. Trying again now. He's finding out very quickly what Tony Gamble already knows is, you're not going to be able to keep that move on the inside there.
And Greenwood going to pass him on the inside. He's just keeping those steer tires way down in the moisture. As you can see, kind of missed it there. That's all the amount of air that you have to make at a track like this.
Now, here's a question that somebody who doesn't know dirt is trying to learn would ask. Is it more important to keep the drive tires or the steer tires in the moisture?
Well, it depends who you ask, because a guy that likes the heavy pedal quite a bit, he's going to tell you the rear. A guy that's going to be easy on the throttle and try to make that slick on a tight track like this, a lot of the times, if you can manage the slickness around the inside, it will continue to be the fastest way around the track. But eventually, it's just going to get too rubbered up, and you're going to have to move up to the top side. So that's a really good question there.
So, I mean, I aim for average questions. If I get a really good one, then that works for me. As Joshua Pickle now trying to work his way around lap traffic, that is Randy Shreves. Now, Shreves has had an issue earlier in this run that has put him further back than what he was running. And now with the lap traffic that Pickle's having to battle, Greenwood has gotten right back into this mix. As you can see, there are 2 different cushions forming around this track. Here, that middle groove has formed yet another cushion coming out of turn 2 with 5 to go and throughout the duration of 3 and 4.
And this is where you can kind of see it, as we're running down on him, but Mike Keegan's certainly going to be a little bit heavier on the pedal, preferring the outside of the track, just trying to carry momentum. Sometimes when you can get in a really good groove at a place like Limaland or Cedar Lake on the top side, when you're smooth, you can have some real speed off the top.
Absolutely, and these guys make it look so easy. I can guarantee you it's not. As we come down now, 2.5 laps to go. Boy, these 50 laps certainly fly by on a quarter-mile circuit. 2 to go, and Joshua Pickle appears to have this race in the bag unless Greenwood can try to sneak his way onto the outside line. Coming down now to the final lap. Greenwood trying to throw it in, has the lead for a moment, but Pickle's going to have the momentum on the outside. This is going to be a very close finish. A little bit of a mistake for Pickle. He's going to get the momentum side by side. It's going to be Pickle taking the win here in the feature.
Oh my goodness gracious. Did not see that coming, Frank. It was a great race, but I did not see the way that Pickle opted to diamond it off and instead of staying high.
He took that straight line speed.
What a race.
Yeah, it certainly was, and we're going to see this final lap here once again. Pickle takes a normal line. Greenwood throws it in. Just tries to get that inside line to work, and then Pickle just, I think he was forced to take that line because he caught so much of the wall going into turn 3 that it kind of forced his hand on the line that he had to take to win that race.
I apologize for not seeing that.
No,
but,
I didn't see it either.
That's why I was surprised. So unfortunate to find a little bit of contact with the right rear to the wall, and it just tightens you up really, really bad.
Yep, absolutely. And I believe, Ben, you are with the race winner, Joshua Pickle, right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Ben.
Hey, really great run here tonight for you. really got dicey towards the end there, Josh. What was the key to getting out front and then staying out front tonight?
Um, just being consistent up there on the top. That was the fastest line for me, and I just found my way around the people up there and kept it right up there and did what was working.
Is the track, through the warm up, something that I had talked about or alluded to was, kind of just running a certain amount of warm up to kind of lengthen the track out to where you guys felt like it was going to be the raciest. And it was certainly racy early on. How did the track slicking off come into play for you towards the end of the run there?
In the warm up right there, I'd go out for about 3 or 4 laps, come in, make a change, do it again. I think I might have made about 4 changes. Just trying to tighten the car up a little bit. Oh, I keep her straight up on the top, and yeah, the top got real slick up there, and it was a little sketchy there for a while. Running next to Tony, he definitely had me on edge for about. It felt like at least half the race.
It was a blast to watch, let me tell you. I was honestly pulling a little fanboy there at the end of the race because it was something to watch. Who can you thank for making you that fast and being able to put on a show like that night in and night out?
First of all, I gotta thank guy who finished in second, Jake. Another one of my teammates, just for racing me clean. Him, Tony, all the boys I pretty much had to race around today, just for keeping it clean. Uh, Methanol Mafia Productions, Design Metal Art, um, Chris Roberts, for putting on this amazing league. It's a tough one.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to talk to me here tonight, Josh. As we look forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully, I'm able to stay in and get to watch that one too, because I certainly don't want to miss it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I was still thinking he was above me, so I was thinking, oh yeah, I might have a chance at this. I just didn't want to slide up into him or anything. I was trying to leave enough room up there that all of a sudden here came the green flash on the inside of me, and I was thinking, dang it! I wish I would have kept it down a little bit more, but I was trying to compete with the momentum up top. Really, I didn't want to be on the bottom. I didn't seem to get a hold of anything down there. I really wanted to be up top the whole time, but that's where Josh was, and couldn't really pass him up there. Sure, it's got to be the momentum. It's pretty flat down there, and these things do seem to like to carry that momentum around. Really, the bottom, I probably should have tried the middle really to get by Josh there, but uh, I didn't seem to really be making too much ground on him there. That's how I tried to pass him, but definitely I wanted to be up top. That's where I felt the best at, and I gave it my all there for Josh. But man, he just won't mess up. That'll be interesting. I think there might be a variation in gear selection in some guys. If everyone normally you'd think based off of tonight, you're going to have the tall gear and go up top and carry the momentum around. But I'm thinking if enough people go up there and blow that off, you might be able to pick a little bit higher of a gear to get up off the bottom, and you might actually be able to compete. So I've never raced these big blocks at Eldora in a league setting, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Definitely most wanted guys. Always fun working on setups with these cars and racing with them every week, trying to get faster. That while our designs for the awesome looking race car. Design metal art. Check them out on Facebook. They got some cool racing stuff they can customize for you. Can't say enough about Chris Roberts in this league, man. It is a absolute blast, no matter what series you're racing in. And you guys for doing this broadcast, man. It's awesome to have a broadcast for these cars.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm your second place finisher tonight, Jake Greenwood. Jake, congratulations, bud.
You.
I feel like an absolute putz because that is the first time I've done that in a while. I kept my mic muted that entire time. Basically, the questions were, how was the car driving off of the bottom of the racetrack? Why was the inside line so difficult to get around? And then just basic going on to next week. And yeah, I feel like an absolute putz. Coming up next, Ben, please save me and take Michael Keegan.
That happens to the best of us. Mike, great run here tonight. In the back-to-back races here tonight, really strong finish on the podium. The track seemed to have changed quite a bit over the course of the race. Walk us through what that was like for you in trying to make your way from 8th to the front of the field and finish on the podium here.
Yeah, me. I don't know, to be honest. It was a race. Once we got that second yellow, Jake got ahead of me, and once we got that second yellow, he just took off, and I just followed him, and was able to pass some cars, and it got really slick, so you had to really be out of the gas to be fast, and I really couldn't catch the leaders. They were just kind of maintaining, and I couldn't catch them, and come home with a third. That's good for points.
That's absolutely right. And, it was a lot of fun to watch tonight. That's for certain. Would you say that it looked like that there was a little bit of speed left in the bottom of the track, even down towards the end of the race, but the room for air down there being so small, was it just safer for you to take the high side? I had alluded to you, really banging down the wall those last 10 or 15 laps there.
Yeah, I like running the fence. That's where I'm most comfortable and where I can get the most speed. The bottom for me with the set I was running, it just wasn't there. And yeah, you gotta just be so finesse to run down there, especially with the tires. And yeah, it's just with how slick it was, I couldn't run down there at least.
Looking forward to Eldora next week, what's going to be the key to getting another podium finish at such a different track than something like Limaland or Cedar Lake that you guys have run quite a bit this year?
Yeah, I don't know much about setting up these cars. I have no clue. I'm a sprint car guy, so I have no clue with setup stuff. But I've been doing kind of the same things at each track and just barely changing my set, and it's pretty good, pretty fast. I'm able to stay towards the front and pass cars. And Eldora's a big half mile, and they run big blocks there, so I'll probably go there and just try and bang the wall down and see if I can run towards the front again.
Well, I guess, like they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Who do you want to thank for the amount of success here in the big block tonight at Limaland?
Yeah, I got to thank everybody who helps me on MKR, MAK Fab and Weld. There's a bunch of sponsors on this car. They all help me out. And then you for broadcasting and Roberts for putting this together.
Hey, thanks again for taking the time, Mike. It was an absolute thriller here tonight. as we look forward to seeing you next week at Eldora.
Yes, sir.
All right, now that I know for sure I've got my mic on, that was your third place finisher, Mike Keegan, and current points leader at that. Ben had one heck of a night here tonight. Overall, great racing at Eldora at the big half mile, and then here at the tiny little quarter mile with some big cars. Had a bunch of great racing here tonight.
Yeah, I talked about it over and over and over again. I really hope that I can continue, to join these guys. If not, I'll definitely be watching it. That's for certain, Frank.
And we, speaking of, we will be watching coming up next week, of course, we've already alluded to it, Cedar Lake for the second time in this last month here. The 410s will be there in Eldora for the big blocks coming up here next week. But before we completely jet on out of here, let's take a look at the race results here for this feature. Joshua Pickle, Jake Greenwood, and Mike Keegan, you've heard from them. Your podium finishers here tonight, Brock Garris and Kevin Hanley rounding out the top five. Brad Lamberson, Tony Gamble, who we saw all race long, have such a great run up with Joshua Pickle, had that one mistake that put him back into the 7th position. Jeremy Prey coming home in 8th. Aaron Schaefer and Jonathan Lowe rounding out the top 10. Jeff Sharp and Craig Loudermilch coming home in the top 12.
The 93 car of Chris Roberts came home 13th after starting 9th. Kevin Click gonna bring it home 14th. Randy Shreves 15th. Joshua Hart 16th. Peyton Grice 17th. Chad Miller 18th. Tyson Landis 19th. Michael Sheridan 20th. And rounding out our field here tonight for the Dirty Old Bastards Big Block Modified Series from Limaland, Kyle Stoltz.
And that will complete the 21 car field that we saw run here tonight. So just a reminder before we completely leave Limaland here, coming up tomorrow night, the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series will run round number 10, only a month to go before the springtime playoffs for their Super Speedway Series season. They will be at the ARCA Cars at Daytona, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time start for that. Then we have a 3-day weekend, which will be our last weekend off for quite some time here, as we have a couple of new series starting up next weekend. The UK Sim Racing's MX5 Pro Series at Oulton Park at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time will be the first end of a doubleheader on Tuesday to welcome us back. And then the nightcap will be the Western States Racing League from Pocono at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming up on Wednesday will be the debut of a new series. The Endurance for Beginners series will be running their first round of the season at Canadian Tire Park. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, 8:25 p.m. Eastern Time. The start time for that, and the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series will run round number 9 from Spa-Francorchamps, starting at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday night. So we thank you all very much for making us a part of your evening. For my broadcast partner, Ben Bruno, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much. And we will see you all tomorrow night for the for the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Daytona. Good night, everybody.